I've got to start off this week by apologizing for some of the cuts that you'll see in this week's report. I've had a few camera problems. All the information is there that you guys will need for going out and being successful for this next week, but I had to cut through it a little bit. So that's my first apology. And because of my camera problems, I've had another problem, and this past week I've been doing a lot of on-water interviews and getting reports from guys on the water. What I want to do is get as many reports as I can while the guys are out there fishing, so when you guys watch the weekly report, you'll get a face-to-face kind of interview with the guys that are out there, and whether they're doing well, whether they're really stinking it up, they'll let you know how they're doing. I wanted to upload those videos that we did for this week's report. Unfortunately, the video turned out great on those, the audio didn't turn out. So for all you guys who took the time to come by and give me a report, whether it was at the dock or out in your boat, I apologize, I can't load those up. And along with my camera problems, I've also had some trolling motor problems and some boat battery problems. So I have to make sure I thank everyone for the reports, and it's going to be really important for this next week or two, depending on how long it takes me to get the parts to repair what I need to repair on my trolling motor. I'll need you guys to really send in reports, and I won't be out on the water as much, so send those reports in, send me the pictures in, I appreciate that. Last but not least, on this week's report, I've got a special guest. That is Pua Yang, and most of you kayak guys know Pua. He is an exceptional angler out here. He is a hardcore kayak tournament angler. He won the West Coast Championship here on the Delta last year. Pua and I are doing a interview, and I recommend for all of the subscribers and followers, check out this interview, whether you are a boater or a kayak angler. Pua has some really good information, and it's not only going to be good for good information for kayak guys, but I think the bass boat guys can learn a lot from kayak anglers like Pua. So make sure you're watching out for that video, and with that, we'll get right into this week's report. And again, apologize for any jumpy little cuts that you might see in this week's report. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the In Deep on the Delta report for March 21st. I've got a special guest today, Pua Yang. He needs no introduction to the kayak fishing community, but you boaters and non-kayakers, you're going to know who Pua is by the end of the day. So Pua, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, and you're going to give us your 2 cents on what's been going on out here. You've been out here quite a bit, and we'll get through a little bit of business, and we'll talk about what's happening here on the Delta.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, first off, San Joaquin Bassmasters, the club from Manteca youth organization. They have an online raffle coming up. It's their fundraiser. $20 a ticket or $6 for $100. They've got some great prizes, a Ducat treasure chest for $350 value of full of baits and all kind of good stuff. They have a gift card box over $200. You might even get a chance to fish with a YouTube guy like me if you win one of these things. So that is the San Joaquin Bassmasters yearly online raffle to raise money for youth fishing. Check that out. It's online. You guys know Cam. I'll leave Cam Cardoza's number if you have any questions with that. So that is first line of business. Bass Hole Tackle Swap, 9-to-1 out at the Bass Hole parking lot. Call Rob if you guys have any questions. I think Rob had over 20 tables set up last time I talked to him, or 20 tables accounted for. Rob's number is 925-813-9485. We've got the Bass and Badges tournament. That is the tournament dedicated to police, firemen, vets, military, active military, EMS, correction officers. That is going to be April 4th and 5th. I'll have Dave's number in the remarks underneath, so you can get a hold of Dave, who is the tournament director. And if you have any questions for that, make sure you give Dave a holler. We also have the Crappie Closet Tournament coming up, and you know what, I don't even have the date for that here, but I'll have something up on the screen when I edit this. The next tournament is going to be here on the Delta, and that is the Crappie Closet Crappie Tournament. And by the way, I've gotten a couple reports this week from guys that are getting out and they're actually starting to catch crappie on the Delta. You ever catch any crappie on the Delta, Pua?
I have, by accident.
By accident. That's most of us, but they're out there and the numbers are getting better and better. So. Now, let's get into the report, and everybody's interested in bass because it's this time of year. We're in spring and it's still pre-spawn as far as I'm concerned. Man, there's a lot of sea lions out here. I'm seeing sea lions. A week ago, I reported that, I stopped seeing sea lions out here. As soon as I said that, it seems like they came in. I've been in the Central Delta. I'm seeing tons of sea lion. You've been fishing all around pretty much?
Yeah.
What are you seeing out here as far as sea lions?
I see them all around. Some places have more than others, and they're in the system and they're everywhere now, and they're feeding.
Are they eating stripers? Are you seeing them eating stripers, or are they eating bass?
The ones that I have seen eat, they're pounding away on stripers.
Stripers, yeah. Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
For bass guys,
Right.
Not good for striper guys. Right. But I have had some reports for a few guys fishing up around Liberty. It's still clouded up there. I don't hear anybody of any really great striper fishing. I know they're catching a few bass up there, but you're still looking at, maybe a foot visibility, a couple feet visibility from the people that I know that have been up there. So we're still talking primarily about fishing the Central Delta. I do know Joe from Core Fishing took a buddy out, and his friend Yorishai caught his personal best at a 13-pound striper. And Joe found some nice fish out there, bass, but I think that was just one fish they caught, one or two stripers. Caught it on a big wake bait right at dark. So, you do have a chance to get a fish out there, but it's just not something that a lot of people are targeting. We're gonna gloss over the stripers, but I want to thank Joe from Core Fishing. He's one of the local guys that sends me a lot of reports. So thanks, Joe, and congratulations to your buddy Shy. All right, what else do we have? Let's get into river conditions, and then we're going to talk about. I'm going to let Pua talk about what he's been doing out here and what you feel has to happen before these fish really turn on. So the first thing we'll talk about, I'm getting about 60-degree water temps out here.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, 60 plus. Probably plus or minus depending on where you're at.
And that's going to change a little bit in this coming week because I think we're going to have some pretty warm weather.
Yeah.
So that might, if this water temperature gets up to about 62, that's going to be a big plus. So, and I'm getting the water has cleared up here in the Central Delta. I have not been out of the Central Delta. I'm getting 3 to 4 feet, maybe 5 feet in some. Where have you been fishing? You fishing Central? You fishing North? What are you seeing?
More than likely Central, and I pretty much see the same thing. Probably like 4 or 5 feet of visibility. I mean, especially during like the outgoing tide, you can really see down there. So,
right.
It's relatively clear.
The general consensus is it's grinding out here. Nothing's really going crazy. I did get a report from the Delta Bass Club. They had their club tournament last week, 21 boats, and basically Chris just said, it was slow. It was a grind for everybody. They did have a winning weight was 14.6, second was 13.3, and after that I think everybody, from what Chris said, was probably struggling. Chris had big fish of 5 pounds, and he did report that the guys that were catching fish were all on Cinco and drop shot. They were fishing slow. We talked a little bit about what's going to have to happen out here as far as water conditions or weather to really kick these fish in gear. And then maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you have found success in the last week or two out here. You fishing fast, you fishing slow, what are you looking for? And just a general view of what's going to go on here in the next couple weeks, what it's going to take to get this bite going.
Yeah, for sure, Steve. I think it's going to take a couple days of or rather a couple weeks of consistent warm weather for these fish to really turn on. They're starting to push up shallow, and there's a lot of pressure out here right now. You know, it's nice and sunny and people are out here fishing, so these fish are seeing a lot of baits. And it's funny, going back to one of your clips about training these fish, fish seeing baits. They're learning, they're learning these baits and they're seeing these baits. So I think you really got to slow down right now, and that's what I've been doing to really entice these fish to get them to go, because depending on weather conditions, you're gonna either want to fish either fast if the weather calls for that, but most of the times I think you want to slow down, because these fish, they're still pushing up, they're pushing back out, pushing up. Most of them are shallow, but the bigger ones, I think they're still waiting for that
and you also mentioned that one of your keys to catching fish, and when you said this, I recognize it, this one of the keys that I've been seeing when I'm catching fish is a little bit of breeze. Today it's pretty darn, maybe a 1 to 2 mile an hour breeze, and there's not a lot of chop. But you've noticed if you're out there fishing and you get this, and then all of a sudden one of these little fronts come in or something, the breeze picks up to 5 or 6 miles an hour. That's all you're needing, right?
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, that's you really gotta pay attention to the conditions, because if it's nice and calm, you might want to slow down. But if that wind picks up, that's why I like to consider myself the wind chaser. If I'm out there and it's nice and calm and I see a breeze probably a quarter mile out, and I'm gonna go out and chase that breeze.
Really?
Yeah.
That's that important to you?
Yeah, it's that important. Depending on what it's blowing over.
Right.
I mean, if it's just 30 feet deep out there, I probably wouldn't do that. But if it's blowing around
like a point or something,
a flat, I'd probably go out there and chase that breeze.
And Pua, this is when we get into our interview, I don't want to do the full interview here with the report. I just want you to give some general ideas. These are little things that I want you to talk about, that have helped your success. And something like that, it's what I talk about all the time. You don't have to move far, but we could be right here and see a little point that has, you talked about wind. Maybe it's a tule break, or submerged island with a few fronds of tules poking. It doesn't have to be a major change. Yeah, and again, like I said, please tune in to the full-length video I'm going to do with Pua, and Pua's going to talk about how he won the West Coast Championship last year, and I think it's going to be very interesting when we talk about the areas that he was fishing and how he went about fishing. But anyhow, it's been tough fishing out here. Everything that Pua says, I'm right in line with him. I had one good day of fishing, and if you watch the full video, I caught that one fish, just under 7 pounds. That same day, I think I had 6 bites. I landed 5 fish, and every fish was a good fish. I had a couple fish that were right around 5. I had that big one, and I thought I was really on to them. Things were going. I went out the next day, and I'm not making excuses, but I'm going to make an excuse. That's the day my trolling motor broke down. But I'll be honest with you, I fished for about two and a half hours before my trolling motor broke. And I didn't have a bite. And, I was getting a little disappointed. I was hoping that my trolling motor would last through the day and the tide would change or the wind would pick up. Right. And that's when I would get the bites. But for all you guys that are coming out here, everyone that's had any success has said the same thing. I think Joe said when he had his success from core fishing, we talked about, they fished for 6 hours without a bite, and then the tide changed and, things went... started going for them. Yeah. So you got to stay out here and don't be ashamed of not getting a bite in 4 or 5 hours, because it happens. My great day, I had 6 bites. When you had your good day, did you get a lot of bites, or?
I did get a lot of bites.
You got a lot of bites?
I got a lot of bites. I think I was just around a lot of fish, but the quality, it was kind of here and there.
Yeah, and most of the guys that I know that have been getting decent numbers of fish, they're small males, and they find a bank that there's, the males pull up on, they say, yeah, we found 2 little spots, and we caught 6 here and 5 there, and then we caught 7 or 8, the rest of the day in like spots, but it wasn't bang, bang, bang.
Right.
And it's just kind of localized stuff. So with that, man, I wish we had a better report for you, but it can break open any day. It's probably going to break open now that my trolling motor's not working. But as soon as I get that thing up, I'm sure the fishing's going to be better. So send me your reports. Thank you guys for watching, and go out there and have a good time. The river's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you
It's
know,
nice out here.
we talked about a few boaters out here. It's not bad. It's not like it's going to be here in a month or so when the skiers and stuff get out here. But it's beautiful out here, and you can catch some fish. So go out, catch some fish, send me a report. We'll see you guys next week.